Hello, today we're going to be unpacking all of the Spanish-speaking countries. Now there's a lot to go through, so I'm going to keep this video very brief. I'm going to encourage you to pause anytime you need to write things down. Let's start by talking about how many there are. I like to say that there are 22 different countries that speak Spanish, but that's counting Puerto Rico, which is technically a territory of the US, so 21. They are in North America, Central America, South America, the Caribbean, Europe, and Africa. We will go in that order for today, although the order could be any order that you want. The first thing we want to talk about is what are those continents? How many continents are there? In the United States, most children are taught that there are 7 continents, but most other countries in the world teach children that there are either 5 continents or 6. Most cultures consider the Americas to be one continent, America, and some countries don't consider Antarctica to be a continent. That's why when the Olympics happen, there are 5 Olympic rings. Each of those 5 rings represents a continent. Because of that, everyone in the Western Hemisphere, meaning North America, Central America, South America, the Caribbean, are Americanos. So that word, Americano, does not indicate a nationality. It indicates a continent. So it's a great word to refer to somebody from the continent, but we will need to have more specific nationalities for each of the countries in that continent. All right, today you should have in your packet a blank map of the Spanish-speaking countries. As we go through, you can start by marking in the country. You can use the name of the country or the number, and then you can follow along as I share some information, some fun tidbits about each country. Your teacher may have also given you a packet to write in that information, the country name, the capital city, the nationality, and something else. All right, let's get started in North America. The first Spanish-speaking country is Los Estados Unidos, the United States. The full name of the country is Los Estados Unidos de América, and it is abbreviated in Spanish EE.UU. In Spanish, if a word is plural and you abbreviate it, you put 2 of that letter. So EE for Estados, plural, and UU for Unidos, plural. The capital city is Washington, D.C., and our nationality in the U.S. is considered estadounidense. Not Americano, because that's the whole continent, right? But estadounidense. The U.S. is the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. Only Mexico has more Spanish speakers. There are over 45 million Spanish speakers. That would be native Spanish speakers if you include people who speak it as their second language as well, or third language. We're looking at about 1/5 of the population of the U.S. speaks Spanish. There are over 400 languages spoken in the U.S. English is one of the immigrant languages in the country. Fun fact, much of the southwest of the United States used to be Mexico. About 1/3 of the continental U.S. was Mexico before it was part of the United States, which is why you see names of cities like San Diego, San Francisco, and states like Nevada, California, Florida. A lot of our place names are in Spanish because those places were part of Mexico. All right, moving on. Our second country in North America is Mexico. In Spanish, it's pronounced Mexico. The official name of the country is Los Estados Unidos Mexicanos, the United Mexican States, because United States just means that it's a country made up of states, as opposed to, Canada is made up of provinces and territories, right? So Mexico is also the United States of Mexico. Normally abbreviated just Mexico. The capital city is the Ciudad de Mexico. It used to be called Mexico DF, a federal district, but it has recently changed its name and said its preferred name is Ciudad de Mexico. The nationality of Mexico is Mexicano for a male, Mexicana if it's female. Fun fact, Mexico City is the largest city in the Western Hemisphere. It was built over a lake, and some of the buildings in downtown sink a little bit every year. And here's a picture of Tenochtitlan, which was the predecessor to Mexico City. Next, we're moving into Central America, Centro America. The first country we will come across as we go here is Guatemala. The capital city is the Ciudad de Guatemala, and the nationality is Guatemalteco or Guatemalteca. Guatemala is known for having wonderful ancient ruins from both Aztec and Mayan civilizations. Many of the city names come from native Aztec and Mayan languages. And here is an example of some of the Mayan ruins that you would see in Guatemala. Next, Honduras. Honduras with a silent H, right? Honduras is the name of the country. Tegucigalpa is the name of the capital. The nationality is Hondureño or Hondureña, again with a silent H. hondureño. Honduras gets a lot of its income from exporting bananas, and it also has a lot of Mayan ruins. One of the cool things about bananas when you go to Central America is you'll see that they come in lots of different shapes and sizes. There's red and green and yellow, and there's plantains and there's bananas. There's little bananas and big bananas. In Asia, there's even blue bananas that taste like bubble gum. So bananas come in many varieties. Next, we've got the smallest country, Spanish-speaking country in Central America, which is El Salvador. El Salvador means the Savior, and the capital is San Salvador, which means Holy Savior or Saint Savior. The nationality is Salvadoreño or Salvadoreña. El Salvador is famous for being a teeny tiny country with 23 active volcanoes. So many volcanoes, and it once went to war with Honduras over a soccer game. Here is a view of what some of those volcanoes look like. Next, we have Nicaragua. Nicaragua is the name of the country. Managua is the name of the capital city. And the nationality is Nicaraguense for both male and female. Nicaraguense. You're going to notice there's 2 dots over the U. That's called a diaeresis and makes a gu sound. Nicaragua is famous for Lake Nicaragua, which has freshwater sharks and is the largest freshwater lake in Latin America. The national sport of Nicaragua is baseball. There are a lot of Spanish-speaking countries that are very much into soccer. Nicaragua is one of the baseball-preferring countries. And here is an example of the kind of wildlife you would see in Lake Nicaragua. The next country is Costa Rica. Costa Rica means rich coast, and it has coasts on both oceans, right? The Atlantic, Caribbean, and the Pacific. And the capital city is San Jose, which means Saint Joseph. The nationality is Costarricense for both male and female. Costa Rica is very popular as a travel destination. It does not have an army. It's a relatively safe country. It tries to stay out of international politics. And it's particularly a magnet for ecotourism, meaning people go there to see the cloud forest, the volcanoes, the sea turtles. There's a lot of sustainable agriculture and efforts to protect wildlife there. As such, one of the things you can do as a tourist is go ziplining through a cloud forest where you're actually just breathing in clouds as you're ziplining through the trees. The next country is Panama. Panama is obviously famous for the canal, and the capital city is La Ciudad de Panama. The nationality is Panameño or Panameña. The canal is currently the only way to cross a boat from the Atlantic to the Pacific without going all the way around South America. Fun fact about the canal, I think our eyes often perceive the Caribbean side being the east and the Pacific side being the west, but the canal actually cuts at an angle. So if you're coming from the Caribbean, you would actually go west to east as you go to the Pacific. Here is a picture of how narrow that canal is. And we have cruise ships that go through there and barges that carry lots and lots of cargo. All right, next we're going to move into El Caribe, the Caribbean. The biggest country in the Caribbean is Cuba. Cuba is the name of the country. La Habana, silent H, right? In English, we pronounce it Havana, but in Spanish, it's La Habana, is the capital city. The nationality for Cubans is Cubano for a male or Cubana for a female. Cuba is an island only 90 miles from Florida, but Americans, people from the U.S., are not allowed to visit. We have limited trade with Cuba and limited travel because of the communist history of Cuba and tensions between the respective governments. Because of that, the U.S. has not had regular trade with Cuba since the very early 1960s. So if you go to Cuba, you can see a lot of classic cars from the 1960s and then a lot of Russian cars from the 80s and 90s because that was their primary trade partner. Or Soviet, I should say. All right, number 10, La República Dominicana. So the Dominican Republic shares the island with Haiti. It is on the eastern side of that island. The capital is Santo Domingo, and the nationality is Dominicano or Dominicana. It is the birthplace of Latin dancing, like the merengue. The Dominican is known for Caribbean homes with lots and lots of color. Then we have Puerto Rico, which is technically part of the U.S., but Puerto Rico means rich port, which is kind of a weird name for an island, right? Because a port should be a city where there's a little inlet for the water, and the capital city is San Juan. St. John, which kind of sounds like it should be the name of a Caribbean island, right? And fun fact, it used to be that way. It used to be that the island was named San Juan and the city was Puerto Rico, and then at some point they flipped. The nationality is Puerto Riqueño or Puerto Riqueña. It is a tiny island that is part of the United States. It has the only tropical rainforest state park in the United States. And in recent years, it has been hit by multiple hurricanes and has been in the news a lot for that. If you live in the United States, if you are a citizen of the U.S., you can visit San Juan without a passport because it is part of the U.S.